On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're diving back in, looking at training camp with the Carolina Panthers. What's new, folks? More questions than answers. Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that bell notification, be notified of future videos on the Panthers, as well as the Carolina Hurricanes, Charlotte Hornets, and major college sports in both North and South Carolina. Please leave me some comments, folks. I love the dialogue. Pound that like button. All right, folks, kind of some things in the news within the past 24 hours leaked out. By the time you've seen it, maybe it's probably about 36 hours, maybe even 2 days. DeShaun Watson. It seems like Houston, has kind of lost their window as far as getting what they were going to do. Number one, you kind of have to look at the draft being over. Teams get a little edgy and are willing to gamble more right before the draft if they feel like they can get an asset like what DeShaun Watson is. Now, word of caution, I've been reading and listening to people making comments, and it's true. As valuable as DeShaun Watson is, if we have to give up a few first-round picks, that's one thing. But if we're giving up a few first-round picks and, say, a Brian Burns or a Christian McCaffrey or a rookie like Terrace Marshall Jr. or, DJ Moore. If we're giving up 2 or 3 players, we're really our team is taking a hit in the talent department. And remember, even last year with DeShaun Watson, as good as he was, folks, the Texans were 4-12. So, we can bring him in, and that's all well and good, and it shores up one area, and we look great. But what does it do for team morale with Sam Darnold? If it was going to happen now, I'm thinking this is probably going to be future down the road, whether it be a few weeks, a month, or even towards the middle to the end of the season, whatever it may be. But you're going to really deplete other areas, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to set you back. Now, one of the big things we have to look at is if we did go for DeShaun, the asking price might not be as much now because we've moved away from the draft. His situation, his legal battles, and what's going on with the sexual harassment charges with them masseuses and everything, it's still up in the air. And they're still probably dealing with, even if he comes out of that smelling like roses, you're probably still dealing with some type of punishment from the league office. And that can look at a suspension from anywhere from 2 games to 8 games or whatever. So you can lose a little bit of time there. So if we are kicking the tires on DeShaun Watson, we have to balance it with getting Sam Darnold, how this team is being built. I think the longer you wait, the better we are off. And the reason why is if Darnold struggles, we might have to go a different direction. But then Houston's going to notice that, and they might really raise the ante. If Darnold's doing well and they can't move him or the price comes down, it might be worth that gamble in the long run, and maybe we don't have to give up as much. But it's just something to keep our eye on because DeShaun Watson is a talent. And before all this situation took place, he had leverage over Houston. Right now, because of the situation at hand, he doesn't have leverage. And Houston's got him, and they know they do. But they're in a precarious situation because if it comes to light and he ends up missing time and he is unhappy in Houston, they've got damaged goods they need to get rid of. And the quicker and the cleaner they can get rid of him, the more they can gain in return. Because right now, by the day, they're losing valuable draft capital and player capital, and we don't know what's going to go on there. All right, now, one thing I haven't noticed in training camp so far, we've heard about Brady Christensen, and we've heard about Moten being moved to the left side, and there's been talk about Trent Scott being so valuable that he can play 4 positions and how bad Cam Erving's look. I haven't heard a lot about the guards, whether it be Pat Eflin, some of the other guards we've had, whether it be Trent Scott playing at guard, David Moore, the rookie, looking at the rookie from Alabama. God, his name escapes you right now. The 6th-round pick, Deonte Brown. Or looking at just some of the other guys that we've had that are on the roster to play guard. I haven't heard a lot about what's going on there. Maybe the interior line play. We'll just, as camp develops and moves on, we'll get more of an idea. I think because the left tackle position is so critical. And of course, if Paradis is not injured and he's doing his job, regardless of his last year in Carolina or not, if he's holding down a spot, there might not be a lot to look at. We just kind of have to see who's getting the starts and the reps and how that goes with our interior line right now. And I don't think it's as pressing as what the exterior line, the offensive tackles are right now. Linebackers, this is critical because I've heard good things about Jermaine Carter. But we've been playing some people, folks coming in and playing with the first team that I haven't heard of, or guys who are familiar with Matt Rule at Baylor and coming in and getting some reps. I know Shaq, they're bringing him along slowly. He has some nagging injuries, and with the money you're paying him, you just want to make sure he's okay. Perryman has had an injury history when he was at the U, and then, of course, for the Chargers, you don't want to injure him. But I sure don't want a disappointment like we had last year with Tahir Whitehead. And what about Christian Miller? I mean, I've asked this in prior videos. We just haven't heard a whole lot from Christian Miller. So is linebacker one of these positions we got to worry about? Now, I know talking about an outside linebacker, Haasan Reddick has listed that. We know we could actually push Jeremy Chinn in emergency situations or certain packages to play linebacker. But we really need depth there. We need solid starters. So that is something to think about. Now, as of note right now that the backup punter, Oscar Draguicevich from Washington State, the undrafted free agent, has been cut to make room for a running back. And I think that was kind of in the making. Joseph Charlton wasn't going to lose his job. Maybe brought some competition in. Kind of looking like that. And you got to figure Charlton was going to stick around. If you're not pushing competition for Sly, Charlton, and from what I've heard, it wasn't Charlton's punting ability, it's his holding and the little things on special teams, holding the ball on placement, stuff like that. It was more critical that he needed to be looked at. So, but the running back positions, we got like 9 in camp. And, McCaffrey's going to be number 1 as long as he's not injured, and Hubbard looks to be number 2. Tremble's going to be our tight end / fullback, or running back, however you want to call it. But that third back, to me, it looks like, Trenton Cannon, because of his ability to play in the slot, play running back, play special teams. So you got Bonnafon sitting there with the rookie from UAB, Spencer Brown, and you've also got Rodney Smith. Now you bring in a Rod Smith. And, of course, you got a couple other running backs, Darius Clark, who's been a little injured as well. What are we going to do about them? Now, being Chinn's playing first-team safety, whether it be free safety, strong safety, we can move him around. Word has it on the street that Sam Franklin's getting to practice with the ones playing some safety. Now, I don't know if he really has what it takes to be a starting safety, but probably better than Burris if Burris can't come through. And I know that Myles Hartsfield has been looked at so far as well there, playing some safety. So if we can get anything out of these guys between Franklin or Burris or Hartsfield, a couple other guys we have to look at that we've brought in down the road here to see what we can do. We definitely need this other safety to contribute. And finally, folks, Will Grier. He's getting more reps at the number 2 quarterback position. Now, I don't know if this is a sign where Rule and the coaching staff are saying we really need to take a look at this guy, and if he doesn't have what we've got, we need to cut him. Or we going to definitely keep him as our 3rd quarterback, or if they really are feeling high on him and maybe they want to stick him as a 2nd quarterback because they think he's got more promise than P.J. Walker. We know he was more glorified in college. He had a better high school and a better college career than P.J. Walker did. But Walker kind of looks the part. He knows Rule's system. Grier, it's kind of hard to judge him on the couple of games he got in under that old Ron Rivera / Perry Fuel days for Carolina, really throwing him to the wolves. But, Grier didn't get in any games last year. So maybe we're finally kicking the tires. And maybe this training he's done with CMC and DJ Moore, maybe he's kind of brought himself along to be Sam Darnold's backup. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, folks. But that's what I have for today. What do you think of today's video? What would you like to see us focus on in training camp? Pound that like button. Leave me some comments. Remember, I appreciate the dialogue. Pound that bell notification so you can be notified of future content on the Panthers. And by all means, folks, subscribe. And we will see you next time on another edition of Carolina Sports Guy.